Hey you guys, thank you for taking the time to watch this video and hopefully learn a little bit more about healthy sleep habits. When I talked to Levi a few weeks ago and asked him something that you guys might be interested in learning more about, he said you guys were interested in learning more about how you can have better sleep. So let's get on with the presentation. I wish we could do this together, but unfortunately with COVID, we weren't able to make it happen. So thank you for being patient. Okay, so sleep hygiene. I asked you guys last week, I sent you an email asking you to keep a sleep journal. And a few things I wanted you to look for were, so for starting, I wanted you to see how much sleep are you getting each night. So what I wanted you to do is you go to bed and write down what time you go to bed. And if it takes you maybe an hour or something to fall asleep, write the time that you kind of guesstimate that you actually fell asleep. And then first thing when you wake up, I wanted you to write down what time that was and kind of figure out how many hours you were getting a night. And then I also wanted you to be documenting how much alcohol you drank at night and how much caffeine you needed during the day to feel like you were functioning. And now that you have that information, something I want you to start analyzing with, the data is, are you getting enough sleep? And how is your sleep affecting each day? And we'll kind of get into the alcohol and caffeine in a little bit because those contribute greatly to your sleep habits. So anyway, that was just kind of a fun activity, and that's something, a tool that you can use your whole life is a sleep journal, and it helps you keep track of, why am I feeling this way? Why am I not feeling well rested? And you start keeping track and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm only getting like 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night. I read a book last year, read a book about a year or two ago by Matthew Walker called Why We Sleep. And he's basically, he's someone who studies sleep. And he said human beings are the only species that deliberately deprive themselves of sleep for no apparent gain. Many people walk through their lives in an underslept state, not realizing it. We don't even realize how much lack of sleep affects us sometimes until we start writing it down and documenting. And then once you start getting better sleep, you can see a lot of improvements in your life. It's interesting how in our culture where it's go, 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 we almost idolize lack of sleep, right? It's almost what's the right word? It's like we like to brag about how much lack of sleep we can survive on and view it as like, oh, you must be a hard worker, you only get 5 hours of sleep a night. But if we had people saying things like, oh my gosh, I can go a couple days without eating, we would say, whoa, wait, that's not safe, that's not healthy. So why do we act like it's okay? Another basic human need is sleep. Why do we act like it's okay when people are not getting enough? Because it affects so many parts of our lives. So just kind of about the importance of sleep. Lack of sleep, they have shown it increases your risks for depression, anxiety, memory loss, diet problems, sometimes indigestion issues, and just overall health lack. They've actually linked it to increases in obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and even some cancers. It can affect a lot, and it can really affect judgment-making skills. When on the flip side, when you're getting enough sleep, you're more likely to have a balanced mood, more energy, memory improvement. I know some of you guys are in school still, and it's really important to be getting enough sleep for school. Also, sleep is the main way your body or your brain regenerates itself. That's how your brain heals, is through sleep. And also, it has been shown to decrease impulsive behaviors, which is really cool. So if you're struggling with some of these things, some sleep can help. It's not the cure-all, but it can absolutely help with some of these different things. Sleep is the foundation on which all other health aspects rests. No amount of water intake or diet or or exercise or medications or meditation can make up for insufficient sleep. The best amount of sleep on average from what they've seen, the people who research this, is between 7 and 9 hours of consistent sleep every single night. So, sleep hygiene. And I actually have this printout that I'm going to have Levi bring and give to each of you, just so you kind of have a little something you can look at. It's the same thing that's on the slide. So a little bit about what sleep hygiene is. These are tools and skills you can use to get better sleep each night. Number one is having a regular sleep schedule. This one can be hard because on the weekdays you get up for work at the same time every day, and then the weekend comes and you're sleeping in till noon because you were up till 2 in the morning the night before, and then you do that for 2 nights, and then Monday comes and you need to be back at waking up at 6 or 7 a.m. So this flip-flop is actually not good for you. Your sleep is not like a bank. You can't invest a lot of sleep one day and it makes up for not getting enough sleep the next day. It's actually a consistent routine that you need to establish to keep your body functioning optimally and your brain functioning optimally. So just that regular sleep schedule. Find out what you can do to, within a couple hours, be going to bed at the same time each night and waking up around the same time each day. Number 2 is relaxing bedtime routine. And that's where you are dimming the lights, you are maybe listening to soft music, you are showing yourself, visually, we're bringing it down now. It's time to relax. It's time to calm down. They have shown that blue screens are not good before bedtime, so avoid use of computer, avoid use of your phones, finish your emails, your texting, your movies, and then put those away and give yourself at least 30 minutes where you are winding down without any screens. And you're just maybe taking a bath or, something calming and relaxing. Reading a book also helps a lot too. Number 3 is avoiding stimulants and sedatives. And this is where I had you track the alcohol consumption and the caffeine consumption. Because if you are able to drink a cup of coffee and then fall asleep an hour later, that's showing that you are not getting enough sleep consistently. You should not be able to fall asleep. That your body is exhausted if it can fall asleep after having coffee. And with alcohol, the problem with using that before you go to bed is it's not actually something that helps you sleep. It's a sedative. So it sedates you. So if people are like, oh, I'm sleeping, you're not sleeping. Your body is not regenerating and healing itself when you're sedated. That happens through sleep. And you actually wake up more when you're sedated, but you don't remember it. So they recommend that you avoid alcohol and nicotine and caffeine several hours before bed. Number 4, a good sleep environment is usually a dark room. That's an evolutionary thing. Our bodies know that, and our brains know that when it's dark, it's time for sleep. And kind of keeping the temperature a little cooler, between 60 and 70 degrees. You don't want it too cold that you're uncomfortable, but you don't want it so warm that your body feels like it's daytime and it's time to start moving. Number 5, block out noise and light. So yeah, kind of what I was just saying. Keep it quiet. Some people use sound machines, white noise, fans, and just, once again, kind of creating that bedtime environment. Okay, and number 6 is only sleep and intimacy. Your bed should only be used for 2 things, and that's sleep and intimacy, and that's it. We are creatures of habit. So if you have a habit of getting into your bed and eating and watching TV and sitting on your phone and reading books, your brain has learned that when you get into bed, it's time to stay awake. It's time to be kind of stimulated, right? It's not time to relax and sleep. And so we have to retrain our brains that when you get into bed, your body should just relax and know that sleep is coming. Okay, and then number 7 is exercise and daylight. Every day we should be trying to do some regular movement. They recommend 30 minutes of cardio or active movement a day, and sometimes that's just not realistic. So if anything, first thing in the morning, if you can just get up and do some stretches and some yoga poses and maybe a couple jumping jacks, get your heart racing, tell your body, okay, I'm awake now. It's time to move. And then find a way during the day to give yourself like 15 minutes of sunlight. Go for a walk on your lunch break, or when you get home from work, go for a walk and just be outside in the sun. And that tells our brain, be awake. It's time to be awake. And it actually can help you fall asleep better if you've had sunlight during the day. And then the last one, number 8, is to eat well. You don't want to go to bed on too full of a stomach or too empty of a stomach. You don't want to be eating foods that are really heavy that can make it hard for you to fall asleep, fat, greasy foods. But something like bananas, yogurt, or cereals, like non-sugary, delicious cereals, but the other kinds can sometimes help you just your body not be so hungry so that you can focus on something else. So anyway, I hope those are some good tips, and maybe utilize 1 or 2 of them and just see how it affects your health, and see if you have a better time going to sleep and being able to stay asleep. Those are the resources I use, and here's my email. You guys should all have it because I emailed you last week for the sleep journals, but just in case you want it, you have any questions after this, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. Thank you so much for taking the time to view this presentation.